Barry, Ernie, oh, Debbie, where's Debbie? Can't forget Debbie left. Mary, Debbie left. Your wish came true. Your wish came true. Barry, do you just want to stay there? Okay. Well, Barry's going to do it. Barry's going to do it over there. Okay. Barry, Shirley says you can't sit there. Shirley says it. Now, you know what's going to happen. If Shirley says something, you don't obey. She might start telling stories about you too, Barry, so it's best for you to come up and...
That's cool, better.
Ernie hasn't said a thing, you've already shoved him off the stairs. Well, good evening. It is a pleasure to be here for the great one, the grand lady, Mary Davis, for after 30 years of dedicated service to our city, 20 of which were a very dutiful city clerk. We're all happy to be here. And Mary, congratulations on your retirement. What I'd like to do first is start by introducing the family, if I could. First is Neil, the devoted husband of many, many years. Mary's daughter and son-in-law, Diane and Tom Honey. Where'd you go, Tom? Where's Tom? No, Shirley didn't say that. Then next we have Ed and his fiancée Kim. We have Zoe and Mark. And Kathy and Kenny. And that little Dickens Deb. You know, Deb loved to give me a hard time on Cat FM on Thursday mornings, especially after I turned 40. But Deb, didn't you turn 40 a while back too? Yeah, okay. Okay, well, that's okay. Now, first of all, I'd like to also thank the committee who helped put this together tonight, because once again, I had a big idea and didn't do much of the work. But for Karen Chesterman, Sue Winter, Gene Snyder, Gene and then Pauline Joyce, who couldn't be with us tonight, and regrets that, and Tammy Grayling. I'm sorry, Tammy. Thanks, Tammy. Tammy's the one that put together those beautiful invitations that we sent out. We appreciate that. Beautiful work. This evening we have several people that couldn't be with us, but forwarded letters of one that could be with us, that wanted some letters read here on their behalf. The first comes from the Center of Dubuque History. It was written to Gene Schneider and Dear Miss Schneider. This is for the letter for the Mary Davis Retirement Bash on January 22, 2000. This is an event I do not wish to miss. Mary has had such a profound impact on this community. She is truly delightful to work with on any project. I have been especially appreciative of her efforts to preserve the historical records of our city. She has supported the efforts of Loras College and the Center of Dubuque History to microfilm the earliest city council minutes and proceedings going back to 1837. Since Dubuque is the oldest city, the records are very vital to any study of early municipal government. It is through those efforts of people like Mary Davis that we are better able to preserve the bits and pieces of our community's heritage. Her untiring service as city clerk has benefited the lives of so many of us citizens. So she will be missed by all who have had the pleasure of knowing and working with her over the several decades. Her contributions to the Dubuque community will be a legacy which will long be remembered. Sincerely, Mike Gibson, Archivist of the Center of Dubuque. Second letter is Mary A. Davis. Dear Mary, Marie and I will be unable to be with you this evening, but I wanted you to know that we, my dad, Leo Frummel, and Marine's dad, Bob Dumpy, are very much with you in spirit. It seems to me, but perhaps not to you, such a short time age that you took the reins when my dad retired. He was very proud of you and your achievements, and no doubt about your commitment and your ability to succeed. I'm sure that you will remember his love for teasing someone whenever he took or had the chance. I'm sure you remember how others in City Hall like to do that with him as well. I thought I would try it at the time your promotion was announced. So I jokingly asked him if he really thought he could be replaced by a woman. And I knew Leo, and this is what Leo said. He looked at me and said, sure, and she'll do a good job too. His look and tone of his voice let me know immediately that this was not a joking situation, and that he had better, and I better not be teasing about it. I knew when I had been put in my place. Leo followed you and the city diligently, and know you communicated regularly. He spoke often to me of your achievements and was extremely proud to see you succeed, having been one of his own as you worked your way up through the ranks. As you now retire, Mary, and enjoy this special evening, I wish to extend to you Leo's congratulations on a job well done. You served the city well, and we, the citizens of Dubuque, are better for your efforts. He is smiling on you, with you, in the spirit of the evening. Best wishes, Mary, and thanks for everything. God bless. Al and Marine Frummel. The next comes from Loyola University in Chicago. Mary Davis, City Clerk. Dear Mary, special greetings and enthusiastic cheers from Chicago. I am sorry I am unable to be with you Saturday evening to celebrate your good work for the city of Dubuque. I know it will be a wonderful event and a significant tribute for the years of service in behalf of good city government for the citizens of Dubuque. During our years together, you were responsible, thoughtful, and a friendly city clerk. I remember you with Leo Frummel in his final years with the city. You learned the details of the office from him, and he shared his vast experience of city government. With the city and city government, and you were supportive of him as well. I was part of the first years with the city council when you were city clerk, and your professionalism was A+. Your quiet movement of papers and people was quite a help to the rest of us who were not so quiet. You know the stories of the era all too well. I'm sure the following years were as productive as you kept on rolling. I continue to believe in the democratic process and the need for good people to be involved in the process for the benefit of the common good. Congratulations on your outstanding example for doing just that. May the coming years bring good things to you. Finally, Carolyn Farrell, BVM, Associate Vice President Director, Gannett Center for Women in Leadership. And last and certainly not least, and I know that he really hated to miss this tonight. This comes from our own city manager. And dear Mary, I owe my humblest apologies because I'm unable to attend your retirement party. Today is my mother's 80th birthday party. Her age is not the only milestone. This is the first birthday that she ever allowed us to have a party with her. I know you'll understand. I have worked in 3 communities, and I can say that you are unequivocally the best city clerk I have ever worked with. You are kind, considerate, and hardworking professional. Each customer was made to feel that their issue was the most important thing you had to do at the moment. A good feeling when you are trying to find an answer to a large complex, or in a large complex organization. I will especially miss our Thursday morning agenda meetings when I could count on your experience and common sense to keep me out of trouble. I will, yes you did, and Harry too. I will also miss the delicious snacks that could be often found in your office. Thanks for being such a big help to me in the last 7 years. I hope I can live up to the fine example that you have set. Your friend, Mike Van Milligan. So, Mary A. Davis, City Clerk. Well, you don't have to call the roll. One grand and classy lady, born August 12, 1936. Parents Ed and Marcella Brunsman. She grew up on a little farm, or a big farm, I guess it was actually, in Dundee, Iowa. She married Neil, April 17, 1956. She has 5 children and 4 grandchildren. She's been 14 grandchildren, I'm sorry. It's these new glasses, I can't hear well. City employee for 30 years, 20 as city clerk. And from here on out, but the seriousness cease. Mary, I was talking to your children earlier, and they said that there used to be some real fun times around the house, but then some not so fun times. And usually it was when Neil was in trouble. Neil used to play softball for the Lux Club. Every now and then a game would run a little late, probably a little later than it should have. And things with the Lux Club ran a little late, but there was one time Ed was telling me that you weren't, this was a Wednesday game, and by Saturday you still weren't really talking to him, and finally he said, my God, Mary, all I'm trying to do is make conversation. You looked back at him and you said, Neil, do it with your mouth closed. Ed followed you out of the kitchen into the living room and said, Mom, come on, all he's trying to do is communicate. You shot back at Ed. Ed, there's just way too much talk about communication around here. The one time after you spent a little too much time at the 19th hole, and Neil kind of wasn't talking to you. And he was kind of upset the next day, and the kids were doing this and that. And Neil came in the house and he said, and he was exacerbated, and said, Mary, that'll be the last straw. Mary turned around, walked back in the living room. She said, yeah, whatever you do, go get some more straws. But you know that the first snowblower, and Neil's proud of his snowblower. He's got it. Just told me the other day about this Toro that he bought up at McGovern Hardware. And yeah, there you go. Commercial for Paul. But anyway, the first time, one of these times, Mary wasn't so good, or wasn't feeling so good about something Neil did. She decided he wanted a snowblower for Christmas, so Mary did buy him a box of straws. So anyway, with all that aside, the first person tonight is a stranger to no one in the city of Dubuque. He served the city very well. A good friend of Mary's, his name is Ernie Rory.
Way to go, Ernie.
Hold on, Ernie. I have a little story to tell about each one of you folks tonight. Ernie is best known. Everybody thought for a long time that intersection over by Bird Chevrolet was the problem of John White's. And John Blatt passes the blame on to Ernie. Ernie the other day was passed, I asked him about that, and he passed the blame for that intersection on to Mary. So I asked Mary about it. She said, well, you know, I said, you know, what Ernie said was, Mary filed the wrong plan, and we had to follow it. And Mary said, yeah, but you should have seen the plan that he had. That he
Folks, I feel pretty out of place here. Listening to all these letters and commendations from Mary, I don't feel that way. I've known Mary for many years. In fact, for 10 years, I stopped in every Friday to visit with her. And some people say they think I'm in love with Washington said that. He's right. Now, when I think about Mary, I think about a wonderful person. I really do. But she has some faults. One of them is she spends too much money. And she can enjoy spending it. Who else is a city clerk and rides around with a little Cadillac? I'd like to be like her, I'll be frank with you. I hate to spend money, I'm too tight to spend. For instance, I drive a 12-year-old car because I'm too tight to buy a new one. I'm happy with a 72-year-old body because I'm too tight to buy Viagra. I like to think about how the city used to be when I started and how much has changed. Oh, much changes. When I was hired, I came in to see Kenny College. And Kenny says, what are your interests, Ernie? And I said, sex and automobiles. And he said, you're hired. Now they have committees set up and take weeks and weeks over. Well, I would hate to go through that. In fact, I wouldn't get on. Now, Mary is a sharp person. And everybody's heard the story about that mine hole in her front yard. That was no mine hole. Mary was digging a hole to circumvent the water meter in the house and hook on up ahead of it. Now, what's one of the first things Mary's going to do? She's going to have an operation on her foot. And you know why? Because now she's given up her job as city clerk, she knows she's going to have to get off her butt. Now, I like to talk to Mary about people, but she never pans anybody. She's lived through so many councils, and frankly, most of the councils are nice people. But a few of them are assholes. Never pan anyone, that's a fact. I love her for that. Because I know people say a lot of bad stuff about me, but not Mary. Okay. Now, Mary has always given me advice. I remember one time, Annette and I had a little extra cash, and I said, I'd like to invest it. And Mary says, why don't you get Interstate stock? And I rushed down and I bought a few shares of Interstate. 6 months later, I paid $30 a share. 6 months later, it went down to 27. Thank you, Mary. Oh, my. I don't know if I run out of ideas here. Here's how what the city used to be. When Mary and I, well, she started later than I did. I outdate her quite a bit. I started in 1953. At that time, our budget was a little pamphlet, a 1/4-inch thick. Now the budget is so goddamn thick, it takes 3 people to carry it. That's a change I don't think we like. Yeah, of course there is a lot more money spent, and why is it? Now, Mary, I want to congratulate you on your retirement. And I think you will succeed in retirement just like you have at your job. And I think you do a wonderful job, and I think you'll succeed in retirement. So congratulations, Mary. And I'm going to have to see you around.
Thank you, Ernie. Well done. The next role story this evening will be Shirley Lang. And Mary and Shirley go back a long time, and there's been a lot of tomfoolery associated with those two. But I'd like to tell you a little story Mary told me a while back. And they had gone over to the Woodfield Mall in Chicago for a shopping trip right before Christmas. And Mary was driving. She had, no, Shirley, you remember this now. Just hang in there. So Mary was driving the Cadillac, and she's getting out of Chicago at the time. The semis, it's 5 o'clock at night, the semis both ways. And Shirley's manning the map, and Shirley was flustered by this. And you know where 9 and 90 and 94 break off there, and you can either go up to Milwaukee or head back towards Rockford. Well, Shirley was looking at the map, and Mary was, with her claustrophobia, kind of worried about being in between the cars. And so she's just driving, and she's beating this Cadillac down the road about 90 miles an hour. So all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're in Milwaukee. Mary looks at Shirley and says, Shirley, what the Christ are we doing in Milwaukee? She says, hey, Mary, I know we're lost, but we're really making good time. Shirley,
talk about too hard acts to follow. No, Mary and I have been friends a long time. She's helped me. I've helped her. I've gotten in a little bit of trouble, but not often. When Mary was Leo Fremel's assistant, she wasn't sure she could do the job. And boy, we talked like the Dickens to make sure that she tried for it. And the better teacher she couldn't have. But Mary and I taught Leo a couple tricks. We chased him into the vault and tried to kiss him on the top of his head. If you talk about Ernie, if you go on a short fest up at City Hall, Ernie's down on his knees. It's true. But we would love to get Ernie on the telephone down at Mary's office. He would be on the telephone, and he'd be kissing him on the head or twisting his ear, and Mary would be doing other things. One day he just picked up that telephone, he slammed it down, and he called us a dirty name. But Ernie Blythe. I got you, Ernie. Mary was my cohort at City Hall. If I was trying to play a prank on somebody, Mary sit down there and look out the windows. And she let me know when the city manager left the City Hall, and I could see the little Santa Claus in the window. I shouldn't have put it on with cold water stuck. It took me 45 minutes to get the doggone Santa Claus off the window. But Mary was always in on it. She helped me buy it, and she did good. We would go to lunch every day. And one day, Mary and I went to Kerrigan's for lunch. We were coming up the street, up 4th Street, before he returned to the two-way. And Mary said, my God, Shirley, what are we going to do? She said, this is a true story. Here comes a van coming down, and the guy recognized me, and he just keeps the van track going, and I'm going west. Well, I pushed him back. I made him back up, and we went down Island. She said, what if the cop would have seen this? I said, I would have told him we were only going one way. I was just, well, that makes sense. Well, I talked to Mary about some things I could tell that I don't know. We mixed company, and I think I better kind of be careful. Ernie was bad enough. So what I did, Mary and I talked it over, and she helped me make out a list of 10 commandments for Jeannie to follow. Now, what are you laughing at, Mr. Mayor? I am, the first commandment, I am Terry Duncan, thy mayor. Thou shalt not have stranger mayors before me. Oh, I miscued. Thou shalt not take the names of the councilmen and mayors in vain. We probably should have included the city manager in this. Incidentally, Jeannie, you can make 5 comments to yourself. Be careful. Not too many loud ones. Thou shalt be available for the first and third Monday of every month for an extended period. During budget times, just forget going home. and any other hours the council requires. Honor thy mayor and city council, and we probably should include the manager on this one too. Thou shalt not harm or maim any staff member or department manager. When they errand submissions, or just a few minutes later, don't make enough copies. Thou shalt think murderous thoughts of the city manager when he says, cut from the agenda, Mary, and the packets are all ready to go. Thou shalt not commit adultery. This privilege is just reserved for the entire federal authorities. Thou shalt not steal away except on Thursdays. And Thursday, city council shall proclaim Care Day. Thou shalt bear witness for the council, recognition committee, wellness committee, management staff, civil service board, and any other group organized with a specific goal of filling any of the city clerk's spare time. Thou shalt not covet the fellow department heads' budgets, salaries, or employees' members, but you should browse only in private. Thou shalt not covet the city department's heads' private offices and their ability to hide when they have to from the public. Thou shalt retain the image of the key citizens and give them access to Dubuque. I made up a 11th one. You don't know about this in there. Thou shalt enjoy thy job, take pride in thy work, and acquire a best friend, city employee, who you can blame for any capers you want to do.
Nice job, Shirley. Our next role store is Gil Spence, and Gil and Mary, they go a long way back, and Gil has that office out there in the golf course, and we often wonder what Mary did do on Thursday afternoon. She was always going to see Gil, but and Neil wasn't anything like that. No, Becky, it wasn't. But they shared fun. 6-pack and 18 holes of golf, I think. Now, what the interesting thing was, this is probably, Mary had been golfing with Gil for years. And the one day, Mary was kind of grousing about the council packing and getting everything all together. But anyway, Gil, she didn't notice until about the 17th hole. And on the first hole, he putted left-handed. Next hole, second, he putted right-handed. And he kept alternating all the way through. And about the 17th hole, Mary finally realized it. She said, Gil, that's quite a talent. She said, you're putting from either hand. She says, did you practice that a long time, or what do you attribute that to? Gil said, no, Mary, there's no special talent, or it is kind of a special talent. He said, I was born amphibious.
I really don't know what to say. Other than after these two previous roasters, Mayor, I sure wish you would have given me more time than 4:30 this afternoon to prepare my comments. And that's one of the only true things you'll probably hear tonight. I would like to tell a story about how I really got to know Mary Davis. About 13, 14 years ago, when I became a department manager, we had this thing coming up. It was called the Department Manager's Retreat. Mr. Mayor, that's where we go sit around a campfire, hold hands, and sing Kumbaya. I really didn't know what to expect, so, I'd known Mary, loved Mary, and, this kind, gentle lady, and I thought, well, I'll ask Mary, what do I need to do to kind of get ready for this? So I said, Mary, this is coming up on Tuesday. We go and we spend an overnight, and we have these meeting things. What do I need to get ready for? And she said, oh, it's no big deal. We have these meetings. We play cards at night. We have a good time, and maybe bring your golf clubs because we might play golf. And the mayor said my office is at the golf course. That's where I would keep my office. So I thought it was a little strange that she said, bring your golf clubs. We'll get to that later. So we went to this thing, and we had our sessions all day, and it came time that they were all over, and we were going to play cards. And I had been practicing. I'm not born in Dubuque, so, euchre isn't part of my genes. So I was practicing 2 weeks prior for this euchre game, and we get to playing cards, and I'm saying, okay, I'm ready to play euchre, and Ray said, we don't play euchre. We play, and I'll use the right name, Dirty Neighbor. She had a different name for it, but I won't say it. So we sat down around this, about 8 of us around this table playing this neighbor kind of game. Mary was teaching us how, and I watched Mary play and all the things that she was doing to these other department managers, and I said, I thought she was a kind lady. And she was shitting on her neighbor. Where are we going? Well, it got to be 9:45, and the city manager came in and said, lights out. And I said, Mary, lights out? It's only 9:45. She said, don't worry about it. Go to your room in a half hour, meet me at the front door. So, I waited a half hour, snuck out of my room, went to the front door. There was Mary and Bill Miller. And I said, well, what are we going to do now? She said, we're going downtown. Downtown Network, by the way. Well, okay, well, how are we going to get back in? Oh, don't worry. Bill talked to Brother earlier, and he's got the key to the front door. So they dragged me down to the bars in Epworth, Iowa. And, of course, between Bill Miller and Mary Davis, they know everybody in there. So we only had to buy about every 5th drink. We got back about 1 o'clock. They drugged me back, threw me in bed, and I thought, oh boy, tomorrow's going to be fun. So we made it through the next day of holding hands and singing Kumbaya. We were at lunch, and I said, Mary, are we going to play golf? And she said, yeah, Lyle Summick was the facilitator, and Bill Kohler, rest his soul, we're all going to go play golf. And I said, oh, why did I bring my clubs? Aren't we going to go to Bunker Hill? No, we're not going to Bunker Hill. That's the city golf course, that we run. Why would we support that, Mary? We're going to go to Timberline, where I'm a member, and I have a golf cart, and I don't have to pay anything. Just you guys. And I had heard how Mary was a pretty decent golfer. And so I was kind of anxious to see what kind of game we were going to play, because I knew she was a gambler by the previous card game. So they said, Mary said, Lyle and I are going to take on you and Bill. And if anybody knows and remembers Bill Kohler, oh man. You can tell I was the new guy. We get up to the first tee. Mary hits her tee shot. Well, we hit our tee shot because she's got to play the ladies' tees. She's got to have the advantage. We all drive down the middle. Mary hits hers behind an evergreen tree. I thought, okay, we're okay. And I drive our cart over where Bill's ball is, and way on the other side of the fairway. And I look over at Mary, and she's out from behind the tree. And I think, well, she must have punched out or taken a drop. And we play the hole, and I kind of count her strokes. And I figured her for a 6, and she said I had a 5. And I said, Mary, what happened behind the evergreen tree? Oh, I get free drops behind trees. Okay, now I know what I'm up against. Now you just stick me with Kohler, who by now has already had 7 or 8 strokes. But you got special rules for yourself. So we go on to the next hole. And this is one of Bill's better holes. I mean, he's almost to the green, and he's only laying 7. Mary's gone into the tree and out of bounds and a few other things, and I'm thinking, boy, she's got a big number here. Bill and I are finally going to win a hole. We get to the end of the hole, and Bill says, I had an 8, and Mary, what did you have? And she said, 9. And I said, Mary, how could you have a 9? I counted at least 10. Oh, I never get double figures. Not only is this lady I thought was so kind and honest, mean, she's a cheat. And she'll expected to win. Well, they lost the $5 and paid, and we had a great time. But in closing, and seriously, Mary, they can talk about all the great job you did, and that, you know, we can replace that. Jean can do, you know, a good job, but can Jean be the friend and the kind of person you've been to us? You've been a great friend for a lot of years to me, a great support, and I'm going to miss you a lot. Good luck.
Great job, Gil. I do have to apologize to Gil because this is twice in 1 week that the guy wished he never had gone on vacation. You'll find out later we have a little surprise for Mary, but all of a sudden Gil found out at, what was it, 3 o'clock Thursday that he had to get this together. I think we thought that we had given him 2 weeks' notice. And the day that we sat down and trying to decide who, and it was tough for Mary to try to eliminate her because you can only have so many people here. Who would be it? And one of the people she wanted was Gil. So on the back of an envelope down at the city clerk's office, I wrote down the names of the people here, went back and called everybody. Gil happened to be on vacation. The envelope disappeared, and I'm out blowing the snow off my snowblower today, with a snowblower too, you know. And I went, uh-oh, I forgot to tell Gil. So Gil really did have just a couple hours to prepare for this, so it was a good job, Gil. Thank you very much. What? The next, the Little Dickens, Deb. And be prepared, Mary. But you know, Deb's a very community-minded person. A couple times she's come to the city council table and she's signed and interpreted for Diane Teacup and for other folks. And she told me that she learned well from Mary, all of the things such as politeness and kindness and hard work and all the things that Mary emulates. But one day Diane was saying to her, you know, when she was being overly nice, she said, you know, that is getting sick. She said, you know, you're just absolutely too nice. And Deb looked at her and said, you know, what Mom always said, it's nice to be nice to the nice. Yeah.
Okay, hi, ready? Okay, first I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Mary's family. Mom always told us when we were growing up, she taught us a lot of lessons, but one of the biggest one was you have to be really careful your whole life of what you say and what you do to other people because paybacks are hell. So tonight, I'm speaking for all those times she wouldn't extend our curfew, or she'd route us from the car for a month, and we'd only be 5 minutes late, but marathon. For all the Legos and those noisy toys she brought our kids so they could torture us with them. Well, guess what, Mom? That's the safest. It's payback time. Okay. The next thing seems to be adaptations. If you notice the words on the invitation, they were from the tune Proud Mary, and they were just adapted to fit Mom's career as city clerk. And I want to continue on this theme with a few adaptations of my own. The first is one that many of you older folks, and I don't see a lot of older folks, Ernie, but... you might remember the show, This Is Your Life. Well, this is a little adaptation with a twist. Instead of bringing people back to my mom's past, we brought my mom back from the past. So I'm going to have a few of her grandkids come out here and help us describe Mom, how some of you may have seen her over the years. So first we have Mary's granddaughter, Jackie. Oh, they're on the hallway. First is Jackie, dressed much like Mom was as a child, growing up in that small rural community of Dundee. And I talked with the brothers last week to find out what kind of stories I would know about Mom, because obviously I didn't know my mother back in these years. These are what we called her BM years, her before marriage, the shitty years, you know. Her brother said that they didn't have any really juicy stories. Mom was a good student, she did all her chores, she was a good person. It was sickening, I'm telling you. So I did remember a few that Mom happened to mention to us when I was little, and she told us that when she was in high school, you knew boys liked you, they would name cows after you. Well, my brothers were proud to tell me that there was a whole herd of that was running around Dundee at that time named Mary. She's always been really dedicated to whatever she was involved in, including her job as city clerk at City Hall. And I learned from my uncle's last Friday that she played basketball. Now, I've known her for, 43 years. And I didn't know she played basketball. I knew she was a cheerleader, but I didn't know she played basketball. Well, they were telling me of a specific contest where she took her job so much to heart that she collapsed on the court with gallbladder pains, that she wanted to play that game. That was what her thing was. Well, they ended up taking her off to the hospital, and she had her gallbladder removed. When the doctor came out, they said it was nothing left but gravel. And her brother Bill told me that they figured that all the rocks in her head had settled to her gallbladder. If you notice, Jackie's also got a couple of pom-poms. Mom was a cheerleader in high school, and that was the only other story we had. Oh yeah, I should mention that. Mom was a cheerleader. My oldest sister Diane was a cheerleader at Hempstead. I was a cheerleader at Hempstead. I was the best cheerleader at Hempstead. Mom was a cheerleader at Hempstead, and Kathy was a cheerleader. We followed the footsteps of my mom. None of us, however, are looking to be city clerks. So. But as a cheerleader, the one story they did have for me was how mad her mother got, my grandmother, at a specific county tournament in Mason City. She did a cartwheel, God forbid, a cartwheel. Well, me being a cheerleader, I didn't understand the problem. A cartwheel, what's the big deal? Did she do it wrong or what? Well, they said back then the skirts were down past your knees. This is in the 50s, you know, early 50s, late 50s, in the 50s. And nowadays they have those short little skirts with those little matching underwear that go with your skirts. Well, back then they had long skirts, no matching underwear. She did cartwheels. Oh, was Grandma mad? And then I heard later it wasn't because she showed off her underwear, it's because she wasn't wearing any.
Remember seeing her all those years ago. No, Scott! Scott! That's not Scott! Now, if you notice, Scott's staring at a rather large. When Mom and Dad bought the current house they lived in, it was in 1961, and she had a baby in 61, 62, and 63. So, most of her neighbors probably remember her as being pregnant. If you'll notice, he's wearing his gloves, because she does like to work outside. She always helps with flower bed, usually in her backyard now. She has a fountain back there and a flower garden. And she still tends her shrubs, but she doesn't do any outdoor painting at home anymore, because you notice why Scott's sweatpants. Scott's sweatpants, when she was painting their house the first time, they painted charcoal gray, which is almost black. And Scott, she fell off the ladder. She fell off the ladder when she was painting the house, and needless to say, she had charcoal gray paint from the top of her head to the top of her toes. And even to this day, you can look real close, you'll see that gray in my mom's hair.
Don't have to look too close.
The neighbors sometimes helped with Mom's seedy reputation, though. She didn't get it all by herself. Scott's also carrying a golf club. My mom did love to golf, even all over the years. And one of her favorite golfing buddies and neighborhood partners was Mary Ann Sabers, who's sitting, well, that's a Saber kid. Oh, there's Minnie. There's a story where Mary Ann and my mom had gone golfing, and Mary Ann and some family lived over by Hazel Green, I guess. They were driving to the farm, and there was a pond on this farm, and they went up the door, nobody was home, or they didn't think anybody was home. So they went down to the farm, and there was a boat on the pond, so they thought they'd take it for a little ride. Hopped in the boat, and sure enough, boat tipped over. My dad bought my mom a new watch, and the whole time I was going, oh my God, Neil's going to kill me, I can't get around. They get out of the pond, and now they're soaked, obviously, so they take a lot of clothes, but the bras and underwears, hang them out to dry. So while they're drying, they're talking, you know, women talk. Finally get the clothes dry, they put them on, only to look up to the farmhouse and see if they were home after all, watching the show from the Yeah, my mom was a stripper at an early age. Okay, next, dressed in the outfits that show her as we children see her are her grandchildren, her three granddaughters, Tanya and Tabitha and Amber. Tabitha's the littlest one there, the little white coat and the stethoscope. That's to show Mom as we see her as our nurse. She kissed our Ollies and made in bed when we were growing up. Of course, sometimes she inflicted the owls too. One particular time, my older sister Diane and I, and we're like 4 years older than my sisters, though, we were supposed to be taking a nap. And Mom wanted her kids to take naps because that's when she sat outside with the neighbors and drank her coffee and told their stories. So kids are supposed to be in bed, kids are supposed to be sleeping. Well, we weren't sleeping. We were talking and laughing, so she's going to get even. She comes in there, and this is back in those days it was okay to spank your kids. And let me tell you, we got spanked a lot. She came in with her yardstick, and Dinah and I knew we were going to get one. So we rolled over, put our butts up there, and she brought down that yardstick and broke right in half. That's just what we did. We started laughing, and Mom was mad. Oh, she left the room frustrated, but we hear her laughing down the hallway. She never bought a new yardstick either. She bought some worse. Okay, and Tanya's our little teacher there, and she's got her little chalkboard, and that's because Mom has always taught us some important lessons in life. You know, that's usual. Always wear clean underwear. There was one lesson, though, that we to this day have burned in our heads. We'd go out on a date with our boyfriends for important meetings and dates and proms, homecomings. Most of our friends, we'd go to their house and their moms would say, now do you have a dime to call home in case you get in a fight with your boyfriend, need a ride? You got a dime? Not our mom. You girls got your Kleenex? To this day, even 2 weeks ago, we were in Idaho, or 3 weeks over Christmas, and we went to the Red Lobster on the way to the airport, and Zoe had a runny nose, and she looked at my mom and says, Mom, I know you got Kleenex there somewhere. You got a Kleenex? I swear she stuffs it in her bra. Okay, Cameron, did you bring out your motorcycle helmet? Oh, there's an interesting story for you. Another lesson Mom taught as well. Ed, in his youth, wanted to drive a motorcycle, and Dad, being the daredevil that he is, said, great, maybe I can ride it every once in a while. But Mom, being the logical one, said, are you kidding? This is my only son, my baby boy. There's, motorcycles, they're dangerous, you'll get hurt. Nope, can't have one. Well, Ed got one anyway. Well, Mom, not being a poor sport, one day Ed was in the backyard and he's going to show Zoe how to ride that motorcycle. So Mom thought, maybe it's worth learning. Maybe it's not such a bad deal after all. Well, she's in the backyard, and Ed's showing her where the kickstand is, where the throttle is, where the clutch is, where the gear shifts are, where the brake is. He entrusts her to this motorcycle, his baby. She gets on it, and the first thing she realizes is she can't touch the ground. She can't strap it. It's got to be tipped for her to reach the ground. So Ed says, that's fine. You just tip it a little bit, then once you give it some gas, you get back up on it, get your balance, and you're off. So she gave it some gas, got back, and ran right into the side of the house. Right down the side, tipped it over, and she's laying on the ground, of course. We're laughing. We think it's hilarious. She gets up, dusts herself off, looks at score, and see, I told you they were dangerous. That's Mom. Now, Amber there, she's got Mom dressed up in the apron, and groceries, and her little cleanup brush and thing. She was our chief cook and bottle washer. She made us cookies, best chocolate chip cookies, peanut fritters beyond belief. But she doesn't always do so in the kitchen. There was a time with a pressure cooker on the kitchen stove. And these are those old-fashioned pressure cookers. You know, the lid locks on, you put the little spinning dial on the top, and builds up pressure, and it cooks the food fast, and you gotta wait for that pressure to subside before you take that little spinning dial off, where you got beef stew everywhere. Yeah, right to the ceiling, like Old Faithful. Beef stew everywhere. We had peanut butter that night. Okay, Jason is our next little contestant, and he's just like his grandchildren see her. This is how the grandkids see Grandma. She was always willing to clown around with the grandkids. And even Jason the other day, just for, I had the story already written, and I asked him what he thought, if he could remember back when he was a child of 2 and 3. Grandma always read to Jason. He was the first grandchild that came along. And he was the only grandchild for about 5 or 6 years. And I said, Jason, do you remember the book Grandma used to read to you? Saggy Baggy Elephant Pants. Well, now the name of the book was Saggy Baggy Elephant Book. But Grandma had changed it, and she didn't read the book. She flipped through the book and told a story to match the pictures, because it had real small print. So all of us other normal adults would sit down and read that book, and she'd have a fit. He'd just say, that's not the book. This is the Saggy Baby Elephant. There's a part in the book that when the elephant goes dance the jungle and 1, 2, 3, kick. You'd see Mom up around the living room. 1, 2, 3, kick. Over goes the lamp. 1, 2, 3, kick. The kids loved it. She was always great with reading stories. And she's always willing to have fun. Her brother Johnny used to live outside Des Moines, and one time we all went to visit Johnny, and he took us to Des Moines. They didn't have Adventureland at the time. They had called Riverview Park was the name of it. They had roller coasters, those big aluminum slides with the dips in them that you sit down in the gunny sack and take for a ride. Mom said she'd try that slide, so she walked all the way up them steps, sat down on the top of that slide in her gunny sack, and started down the slide. Well, I don't know if you've ever ridden on the slide, but when you go over those humps, you kind of lose contact with your gunny sack, and you just keep going. Well, Mom didn't realize that the slide was hooked up to the audio system in the whole park. So here's my mom. Here's my screaming. Yeah. And it was Neil. Oh, you asshole! To this day, my 3 children, to the time they're about 7, thought Dad's first name was Astro. And last, by no means least, we have Mom's grandson Tommy, looking how she does in Neil's eyes. Tommy, could we have you? Des Moines for a seminar of some sort. And there's 2 double beds in those rooms, but they've shared a bed for 44 years. They'll continue to share beds, so they shared the bed. Well, in the middle of the night, someone rolled out of the bed and got stuck between the wall and the bed. So naturally, my father's first response was to laugh uncontrollably for 10 or 15 minutes. Finally helped her up off the floor, got her so that she was okay, sat on the edge of the bed, and then instead of going into the other bed where she could have all that room, she crawled right back into bed with me. Now, if that ain't love, I don't know what is. And her devotion goes just a little bit. Fashion statements. Dad had to go to the hospital for back surgery and have disc removed a few years ago. And I sew. I have a sewing machine and I'm pretty proficient at it, as a matter of fact. And she got to the elevator and she said to me, Dad, I think when we get home you're going to have to fix these pants. I said, why? What's wrong with your pants? She said, well, I just bought them and the pockets don't go right. She said, I've been trying to stick my keys in my pockets and they won't go in. She had put her pants on back. Well, I want to thank all the grandkids for helping with this special act. As you can see, they have all inherited my mom's spirit of fun and good sportsmanship, especially Tommy. Speaking of inheriting things from our kids have got some pretty terrific traits. Her sense of understanding, her sense of humor, her sense of responsibility, loyalty, truthfulness. But my brother Ed has gotten the most notable physical trait. If I can have him stand up for just a moment, you will notice that he got Mom's bald spot. Oh, don't feel bad, Ed. I got Dad's waistline. When we were growing up, we learned early how to push Mom's buttons. We were taught by the master. Dad had been pushing her buttons for years. If you want to make my mom run screaming for a room, only need to mention the word mouse or booger. Yeah, there it is. That's the one. Every time you say that word booger, she goes. We used to do it a lot, especially at the dinner table. I did one time, however, reach an all-time low at stressing my mom out. My mom, like most moms, very proud of all her children and all their accomplishments. And one day I was taking physiology and anatomy as a sophomore in high school. And I came home from school and told Mom I had something for her. So I had it in a box wrapped up in paper towels. And we were at the kitchen table. She slowly opened that box and peeled back the paper towels and picked it up. Well, it's really nice, what is it? Well, and Addie, that day we had dissected pig, and it was the brain and spinal cord from that dead pig. And when I told her that, you never saw anything brought faster to the floor. And yes, I was called you asshole. Mom used to tell Dad if she ever found a mouse in her house, he wouldn't have to worry about setting a trap. He'd have to go looking for a for sale sign, because she wasn't staying there. And he almost did once. Almost actually did sell the house they'd lived in for, 40 years almost now. I believe somebody mentioned the hole in their front yard, the dig into the water meter thing. Well, when that happened, our neighbor next door, Shirley Armstrong, my dad, had thought they'd play a real practical joke on my mom, and she was worried all night when it started dropping in that the front of the house was going to fall, and they'd wake up in the morning in a hole somewhere. So that night, Dad was going to let the door open. She was going to tilt all the pictures just slightly that way. So when she woke up in the morning, she'd think the house was slowly falling. Shirley, one of our favorite neighbors. Okay, I think the mayor mentioned her other fear. Mom's a little claustrophobic. She doesn't love enclosed places, I mean bloody murder. Well, I've never seen this firsthand because I know the signs and I know when to get her out of her room. But evidently, a few years ago, she went to Las Vegas to meet my brother and sister from Idaho. And while they were there, they thought they'd do a little sightseeing, so they went to Hoover Dam. This is right before my dad's surgery, and he was in a wheelchair. My brother had so graciously pushing him on the tour. And he slumped over the wheelchair because it hurt him to sit upright. His back hurt, so he's kind of like dead weight in this wheelchair. And I went along the tour, and they got in the elevator. 40 people in this elevator, and they closed the doors. Down the elevator starts to go. Tour guide over the elevator starts telling them about the tour they're going to be on. You're now descending to the lower floor of the Hoover Dam, and I don't know if the river is there. You'll be down 4,000 feet. Here, my mom's starting in the elevator. Oh my God. He keeps talking. Down there, you'll be underground in the turbines. Oh, now the head's turning. She's licking the lips. Meanwhile, Zoe and her husband Mark, who's still in Idaho, starts moving the back of the elevator. He knows what's coming. He don't want no part of this woman. Well, sure enough, he keeps talking. She's now, the whole head's going, and the hands are parted. Pretty soon, she blows. Gotta get up! The elevator, looking. The elevator hits the bottom, the doors open. It's like parting of the Red Sea. Let this woman out. Out she goes. Now, Hoover Dam has two elevators. One that's down, one that's up to take the tour before they got off, back up. She gets off. Not this time. First time in Hoover history, that elevator ever only went up with one person in it. They let her out. Okay, now before I get on to my final adaptation, I want to tell everyone how happy I am to be asked to help roast my mom. And not because I saw it as my chance to publicly humiliate her, although I have enjoyed it, but rather as my chance to publicly honor her. Although I poked fun at Mom tonight, I know she knows that that's just what it was. It was all in fun. And I want to take this opportunity on behalf of my brother and my sisters to say some things that I usually reserve for those mushy greeting cards she gets on her birthday and at Christmas time. And as I look around the room tonight, I realize that everyone here has had a special relationship with Mary Brunsman Davis. Perhaps as a trusting friend, a helpful neighbor, a reliable co-worker, a dignified city official, a loving sister, a doting grandmother, or a faithful and adoring wife. But there are 5 very lucky people in this room that have known her as so much more. She has at times been our best friend, and at times our worst enemy, our biggest supporter and our best critic. She has built us up and kept us down to earth. She has given us wings and roots. When something is not right in our lives, she's the one we call. And when there is something to celebrate, she's the first one we want to tell. This extra special lady to these 5 people is simply known as Mom. You honor her tonight for nearly 30 years of dedicated service to the city of Dubuque, a job she has done well with dignity and grace. But what you may not have realized is that this was her second job. Her family has always been her top priority. We have been what came first. You all know the wonderful job she has done as city clerk, and that was simply what she did in her spare time. You can only imagine the accomplishments she has made at her full-time job, that of being her mother. So, thank you, Mom, tonight for all your love and support, and we honor you, along with everyone else here, for leading by example. Now, for my final adaptation, I want to thank my son, Jason, for all the help he did on this project, and I have adapted a familiar poem by Clement Moore, complete with illustrations, and I've left room in the back of this book to include some of your thoughts. So if you look at your tables, in the center of your tables, there's some glasses there that have pens and some different colored index cards. We would love it if you just write, Best of Wishes, Mary, with your name so she can remember tonight in the back of this book. I'll flip through and just show you some pictures. We got pictures in the back. I've left room to include those cards so she can remember tonight. Before I go on, I did get a card here. It said, Mary, would you like to take a ride on the golf cart with Lida? See? She'll know the story and she'll love it. So we'll include this in this book. So sometime tonight, if you'd like to just write a quick note and include it, there's a box over here on the table, and wrap it. Just drop it in sometime tonight. And you just, like I said, sign your name and write a quick note. She'd love to hear from you. Okay, this was called 'Twas the Night Before Retirement. 'Twas the night of Mary's retirement, and all through City Hall, things were a bustle. It was worse than the mall. Petitions needed typing, agendas weren't done, in hopes her retirement was all just in fun. The chamber was quiet, the lights were turned off, while the councilman worried, without Mary, would they be lost? And Sue in her wisdom, with Karen beside her, had just settled down with a hot cup of cider. When out in the hall there came such a noise, Sue ran from her desk, trying to keep all her poise. Up over the counter she stumbled and fell. She landed so hard, she rang that damn bell. The run in her hose, and her freshly skinned knee gave no indication of what was soon to be, when what to her wondering eyes should appear but Mary, the city clerk, in unusual good cheer. With a pen in her hand and a strange little smile, Sue knew in a moment they'd get through the work in that pile. More rapid her finger on the keys they did tap, she typed up the minutes from the last meeting's crap. Attendance was first. It was almost the same. As she typed in the letters, she called out their names. There was Buell, Nicholson, Robbins, and Markham, Volkberg, Mikulski, Klein, and Mayor Duggan. The minutes were done, proclamations too. She went on to the permits, and right then she knew. This job's kept her busy over the years, with so many laughs and just a few tears. Let's look back for a moment on the things of her past, the things she's accomplished, memories that last. She's been at this job nearly 20 years. With her it was magic, like smoke and mirrors. She's served many mayors, but the one she likes best is the one we have now. He's passed the test. There's been Brady, Farrell, King, and Duggan. A damn good realtor. He asked me to put that plug in. Not just a mayor, he's more like a son. He keeps her in line, but joins in the fun. As she rose from her chair and stretched out her arms, let's pause for a moment and check out her charms. She's a short little lady, about 5'4", but once you get to know her, she's so much more. Her eyes, how they twinkle, her smile, how merry. Her cheeks are like roses, her legs are not hairy. She's a mother of 5 and a wife just to one, but from their viewpoint, she's second to none. She would make us cookies or bake us a pie. She gave us our principles, taught us never to lie. She's a wonderful lady, you know how that goes. But did you know she could touch her tongue to her nose? She showed us that laughing will beat a good cry. More love than she knows from Diane, Edzo, Kathy, and I. She's filled her position with dignity and grace, but she feels it's time to get out of this place. So she's typed her last paper and put it in the file. We can't understand it. I guess we're in denial. So she got in her caddy, and her horn she did blow, and away she did drive, but ever so slow. And I heard her exclaim as she drove out of sight, many thanks to you all, and I'll be watching Monday night.
Barry Lindahl. And Barry and Mary have shared many and many a night at the city council table, probably most of that 20 years. I know they've become close friends, and we know that Barry's going to probably do the real dignified honor for Mary tonight. But there's one time that Rick Jones was telling me that he remembered one night he went before the city council, and Mary was first there, and Barry was on the council, and they talked about the new system, they called it 911. We now know it as the E911, but they were going on about the 911 system. And they had finally come up with all the discussion, and one of the city councilmen, you remember him well, he was rather a tall gentleman, and he had that big finger, and he did this with his elbow on the table, and he said, I've got something to say. He said, I go along with this 911, I don't know if I go along with this 911 system. He said, first of all, not everyone has a touch-tone phone. And second of all, I looked at my phone tonight, and I don't have an 11 on it. Barry kind of elbowed Barry, and Barry said, looked over the top of his glasses. He said, Mary, he's right. I don't have 11 on my phone either. Barry?
What would a city get-together be without some overheads, right?
Yeah, right, Barry.
I didn't know the city manager wasn't going to be here, and I knew if he was here, he'd have his PowerPoint projector with him. So I thought I better have some overheads ready just to be prepared. When the mayor invited me to make a few comments tonight, I was extremely honored and flattered. And but of course, tonight I find out it was at Mary's request, and I'm just devastated to find out that Mary included me within a group that includes Ernie and Shirley. Thanks, Mary. That's our special relationship, right? Mary and I, of course, have been working together for almost 20 years, which is really almost impossible for me to believe. And, of course, we've been through some extremely difficult times in those 20 years. Just to mention a few, back in the early 80s when we had the change of government, which was very difficult for all of us. Then, of course, in the 90s we had the Iowa Trust scandal. And for the last 7 years we've been trying to rake in a new city manager, and that's probably the most difficult of all of the problems we've had to deal with. Mary and I, of course, have sat through something like 400 city council meetings, if you can believe that. 400 meetings. I get people that ask me, and I know they ask Mary the same question, how can you stand to sit through one of those meetings? Let alone 400 of them. Of course, they always want to know, what are you and Mary sitting there talking about, or what are you thinking about when you're sitting there during those meetings? So I have, fortunately, some photographs that I brought along with me that will show you what Mary and I are actually thinking about or talking about when we're up there. See if I can get it turned on. All right, this first one, and unfortunately this is the honest-to-God truth about what Mary and I are actually talking about or thinking about when we're sitting up there. I know some of you in the back probably can't read this, so I'll have to read it to you.
Focus.
One more. Yeah. All right, Mary is saying, I wonder whether this takes 4 votes or 6. I better ask Barry. And I'm thinking, I wonder whether this takes 6 votes or 7. I better ask Mary. So if you're ever sitting there watching us on a Monday night, that's exactly what we're thinking about. Back in the early 80s, if you were, Mary has worked now with 3 corporation councils. There was Romolo Russo, who I'm sure was a career in and of himself to work with Mary. And then we had another person who filled in for about a year or so, and I was appointed in 1986. And you remember back in those turbulent days in the early 80s, I was never sure whether I was going to be the city attorney or not. So one night we were sitting there, and this is what happened. Mary said, Mayor Brady, the next item is the appointment of the Corporation Council. And I'm thinking, Mary, is that Harley Stark sitting in the third row? All right, the meetings these days are just wonderful compared to what they were like back in the old days, back in the early 80s. This is kind of what it was like back then. It's 1:30 in the morning, and Mary says, public hearing number 2. Mary, I thought you said we'd be out of here by 8 o'clock. I can't read these without my glasses. All right, now this is more what it's like today. The meetings, of course, are much shorter, much more efficient, much more effective city council than we had back in those days. But now Mary is saying, how many tapes do I need for the city manager's closed session? And I'm saying, don't worry about it. He said it'll only take about 5 minutes. The closed sessions now go to 1:30 in the morning. Now, my biggest concern these days, you've all heard about Mary's chocolate chip cookies, which are just legendary. But as far as I'm concerned, the peanut brittle is even better. And that's going to be that's going to be the biggest loss for me is the peanut brittle. So I was very concerned about that. And one night as we were sitting there, I noticed Mary was reading a peanut brittle cooking menu, cookbook. And I said, does Jean know how to make that stuff? And Mary said, I'm looking for something easy. And then just to kind of bring you up to where we are today, this last slide I think tells it all. It's the calendar says it's January of 2003, and I'm saying I'm sure glad Mary decided to stay until we get this Eagle deal closed. Mary's reading the Eagle Window Development Agreement, and she's saying, action item number 1, resolution approving the 295th amendment to the development agreement, Rick Dickinson, new developer. Mary, I'm not going to say goodbye because I know you're going to be here next week, but you know, as your daughter said, you've developed a lot of special relationships with people, and I know the one that you and I have is very special. So good luck to you, and I'll see you next week, and then we'll say goodbye. Thank you.
Very job well done. See, it's not going to take 295 development agreements to get Rick Dickinson to be the financier. I think he already is. Well, Mary, it's your turn. Now remember, no mushy stuff. Remember? So. Oh, Tommy's got the $1 for Mary? No. So anyway, your fine city clerk and trusted friend and co-worker and lovable mom, grandma, and wife above all else, and family always came first, Mary A. Davis.
Mom, remember it's party and fun time, so we'll try to do that. First of all, I'd like to say thanks to all of you for coming tonight. If I'd have had anything to do with this event, would not be happening. But I was overruled, and I do appreciate it. I want to say a special thanks to our committee, Terry, Sue, Jean, Karen, Pauline, we're not able to be here, to Deb, and also I understand Alan Lunar, Sue's husband, Instructor Carousel. And I think you did an excellent job, and thank you very much for that, I'd like to share that I have had very many fond memories while I've been in this position, both in the office and away from the office, and for the past 27 and a half years. And I feel conscious that I have given a good 25 years out of the 27 and a half. So scooped around, and I'll admit it. Had a lot of happy times with a lot of people. And we've also had some sad times, and most of those are when we have lost some of our wonderful co-workers. My predecessor, Bill Crummell, he was like, well, he was my teacher, and became like my dad, and I appreciated his family. But they kind of let me adopt him as my dad. My dad passed away. So he was very special, his wife. Appreciate the Crummell family being here tonight. Another one was Mr. Russo. Joe Hale, who was the individual who was my first, who hired me. Bob Dumpy mentioned his name. He was very special to us. And thanks to special people, first one being Shirley. She was always there to keep me out of trouble. But managed to get me into more trouble. I've missed her daily contact during the past year. But Shirley, get ready to get dressed a little bit earlier. We will be doing our little thing during the day, and it's going to be before 4 o'clock in the morning, or afternoon. Journey, I'm going to miss our 10 o'clock little tit-tat, confidential talks we have, but we'll still meet someplace. Not at the dog track, but someplace. To the co-workers in my office, Karen, who is not able to be here this evening, for her 20 years of assistance, taking over duties that were required when I decided to go non-public. To Ed Brocious, thank you, Ed. He put up with 2 women in that office for 15 years. He's always dependable, reliable, always there whenever we needed him. To Mary Bosberg, who came on in as a temp for 6 months, and as sometimes the city has a problem doing, she ended up staying there for a year and a half. Mary was full of energy, always had a story to tell, and she also was a wonderful cook. Those of us on the first floor of City Hall really knew that, because she brought in the goodies. Special thanks to Sue, who came to the office 5 years ago. She's been an important person, and one of the reasons is because she always understood why, when it was such a nice day outside and you wanted to go golfing, and I just couldn't because there were other commitments, and she said, that's okay, I'll go in your place. She's been my confidant in the office, and she's helped me keep my cool when I had to. She's been my teacher in some things, and she actually was in the water department, and I started working for the city. And got me that job, and we just kind of worked on together. She went other departments, and she finally came on back. So she's been an extra special person to me. When I admit, City Clerk's office does not operate and cannot operate by one person or by its staff alone. It needs help from many others, and we have gotten that and appreciate that, whether it be from city staff or other individuals from outside the organization who did help make the job easier. Maybe a little more hectic at times, but they did make it easier. I know we have a representative here from the Sphere of Finance who has our bonding financial assistance when it comes to selling bonds and millions of dollars. And they have been excellent when it comes to go ahead. Give us directions. Jean, you'll know which line to sign on, where to dot, and where to put the seal on, because they bring it right on down. For that, Larry, I thank you and your organization. I want to say special thanks to Barry Lindell, the city legal staff. Although he's a quiet and private person, I thank him for his expert direction and assistance when I've asked anything of him, and for giving directions to the city clerk's office in the language that we understand, and not the attorney largo that they usually want to go on and on about. To Mayor Terry Duggan, the hardest person that I'm going to have to say goodbye to. It's not goodbye. I appreciate Terry. Gonna miss those fun times when you would come into the office. We would share things about our family. It's always neat to hear him talk about his children growing on up. And he enjoys his family. And that's what I'm going to miss the most. Don't let me leave today or grow too fast before I get a chance to come on up to you. I guess they should say a special thanks to my adult children and to my grandchildren for being very understanding when official duties called me away from an activity or two that they were involved in. And there were times when I could not, because of some official duties, were not able to attend, and they were very understanding. I also want to thank them for respecting my position that kept them, or they stayed out of big trouble and mischief. At least, I think they did. And in all essence, they were probably better behaved than their mother was at times. But I did have the decency to take my bad behavior out of the city limits. And then out of state was another one. And even occasionally out of the country. And I was surprised that they would let us come on back. To my husband Neil, who knew where I was going on the first and third Monday of every month for our regular council meetings, and when we had them earlier than that, more than that. There were some weeks he saw more of me on the screen than he did in person, especially during those special weeks. But I guarantee you, you're probably going to see more of me than me seeing more of you or something. He did, yeah, and I think this is a funny story. I really do have to share this, and this has to, it picks on a city staff too, that it wasn't her fault. We have council meetings first and third Monday of every month, and then they're usually replayed like 6 times before the next one. Well, there happened to be this one month when we had 5 Mondays, which happens 2 or 3 times a year. And it happened to be on the 5th Monday, we had a work session, and I went to the regular work session and so on and so forth. And he always watched the council meetings, because he said, well, okay, that's where she's at. Yeah, she said she's going there, yeah, there she is. So, anyhow, I came home this one night, and it happened to be a late work session, which was very uncommon anymore. But anyhow, the next morning he said, oh, jeepers Christ, that Laura Carson sure is someone stupid. And I said, well, why? And he said, well, 2 weeks ago, they asked her a question, and she gave the same damn answer last night. And I didn't know what he was talking about, and I said, that's because it was a replay. That was the only thing he remembered the council. No other decision was changed. Laura gave that same damn stupid answer. But I do want to thank everybody for coming. Thank you for the very good memories I have of each one of you in some way or another that we have worked with, have had occasion to meet with, whether it be within the city organization, whether it's out on the golf course, whether it was pretty wicked hockey trips, a couple wicked golfing ones, and when they'd asked me if I ever wanted to go riding in the cart with violators. We came down the hill one day down at Timberline, and it was a little bit slippery and whatnot. Hole number 9 is coming down a pretty good sized hill. And Lila's driving the cart, and we started slipping a little bit, kind of doing little flip-flops, and we literally went down the hill backwards. And she is sitting there, and we're probably this far away from dumping into the pond. So she was afraid that we were going to lose ourselves, the carts and everything else. She and I will not live that down. Two husbands who think that they're perfect, and that would never happen to them. I do thank you. I appreciate it. I will miss you. Plan to do some traveling, getting in as much golfing as I can, and I know there's a lot of people out here that do golfing, so if I can go ahead and hook on up with each one of you, one day a month, I'll be golfing every day, and we'll be doing our thing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's Mary's turn to buy. No, I do have to talk a little bit about the relationship that Mary and I have shared too, and I'm not going to do the soggy stuff either, but I'm going to try to get through this because you did it. And that's the fact that, us Irish boys have a tough time with leaving their mothers, and we're all, in our family, 4 boys, all of us were married at the age of 27. I think it used to be, and a lady could confirm this, I think my dad finally got so sick and tired of us, he paid our wives to marry us. That's how he got us out of the house. But there are 2 times I remember in my life, 2 big hugs that I've received. And one was from my mother one time when I was working down in Burlington, Iowa. And I quit my job unbeknownst to anyone else, and I came back because her dad kind of wanted me to. I was still only 23, so I knew I had 4 good years at home. But anyway, I remember coming through the door that day and telling them that I had quit. And my mother turned around and gave me a hug that darn near crushed me, and I'll never forget the hug. But then in 1993, my mother wanted to live, and she said until our son Connor was born, and he was. So then in 1994, I became the mayor. And my mom checked out. And someone else took over that job. By de facto, by whatever, but she stepped up to the plate. Now, Connor was born, and then in between that time, Alita and I were trying to still have other children. Now that we've had Elise, we wonder why. Because I'm going to be 60 when she's 18, I'm in trouble. But anyway, we did lose a baby in between, and we had never told anybody that Alita was pregnant, which was the toughest thing in the world to. Now that you go through this experience, you have no one to talk to because you haven't told anybody. But I did, Alita, you did know this, sat down and talked to Mary one day about that. But then that second big hug that I remember so well was the morning after Alita conceived with Elise. And we could finally tell people. The first person I told was Mary. And it was that big hug, that crushing hug that my mother gave to you, that you gave to me. And Mary, I appreciate that. Thank you. So Mary, you don't have to look behind the door, but we don't want you to leave empty-handed. So we do have a gift on behalf of everybody that's here tonight. Happy retirement, Mary. Your friends would like to give you the following. Now this is the thing that Gil had to put together on Thursday afternoon about 3. 2 weekday rounds of golf at the Amana Golf Course. 2 weekday rounds of golf at Hunter's Ridge Golf Course, carts included. And 1 overnight stay at the Collins Plaza. Have a great time and play good. Mary. Sue. And also there's a bottle of champagne for you and Neil to enjoy in your retirement. And Mary Davis, one classy lady, on behalf of all the citizens of Dubuque and your friends and family, you're one hell of a lady. Congratulations.
share that my grandchildren so it definitely reminded me of. Our family had given my mom a computer and printer and the whole works as a retirement gift because she'll miss her when I work so terribly much. But we were a little concerned because we knew that most of the work done in her office, like I don't remember who it was said she was going to have to get off her butt now, is done by someone other than my mom. She takes all the accolades, but somebody else doesn't. So we were concerned she may not know how to run that computer. No problem. She has a great teacher. She went in to see her new computer, sat down at the desk, and Tabitha, the youngest grandchild, who's 6 years old, showed her how to find solitaire in the machine.
Mary said, no, Shirley finally said, you're all excused. The bar is open.
Where'd my drink go?
Hey, Johnny. Hey, how many guys tried to bend you over tonight?
I only bent up over there. I might have to get a $1 bill. Dude, I was gonna go with the trail. It's not.